Never give in, never give in. Never, 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 never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty. Never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. He said it to a room of schoolboys in 1941 as London smoldered and the sirens still wailed at night. He wasn't selling a slogan. He was handing them a way to stand. Tonight, we're going to draw that line into your life. Because if you're on the edge of giving up, or you're carrying a quiet fear you don't want to name, Churchill left us a map, ink-stained, hard-won, and mercilessly honest. And if you follow it, you don't just survive the storm. You learn to command it. Picture the moment, October 29th, 1941. Harrow School. The war's tide has not yet turned. There's ash on windowsills and grief sitting heavy in English kitchens. Churchill arrives not to dazzle, but to anchor. He repeats that word like a hammer on steel, never. He's reminding them that endurance is not a mood, it's a decision. And if you listen carefully, he gives you the escape clause too, except to convictions of honor and good sense. That's the hinge. It means you don't cling to pride or a bad plan. You cling to what is right and you adjust relentlessly. So how does that help you now, on your uncertain morning or in the quiet 2 a.m.? When doubt climbs your chest? It starts here. Define the hill you will die on, and change your route as often as needed. That's not stubbornness, that's strategy. Churchill's letters reveal the private cost of that strategy. He wasn't a marble statue. In 1915, after the Dardanelles disaster, he resigned under a cloud that would have crushed a smaller man. He went home to a world suddenly too quiet. The power, the command, the attention, gone. He turned to painting and reflection, and he wrote to Clementine with both pain and resolve. He didn't sugarcoat his fall. He faced it. He learned to walk again with a different gait. Imagine that in your life. You make a bold move. You fail. People talk. Doors close. Do you retreat into bitterness, or do you pick up a new tool, steady your breath, and begin again? Churchill's answer was brutal and simple. Begin again. Not tomorrow. Today. With whatever is in reach. But beginning again isn't just about mood. It's about moves. One of his strongest habits was stamped, literally, in red on his memos. Action this day. That was the command. No drift. No indefinite waiting for the perfect timing or the perfect plan. Action. Today. He built momentum by refusing to let problems age on his desk. What he meant then still matters now. Your fear grows in the time between idea and action. That empty space, those 5 minutes of procrastination on your phone, are the breeding grounds of dread. But when you move fast on the small concrete step, fear has less oxygen. Action. This day was not just wartime efficiency, it was psychological warfare against paralysis. There's a crucial link here, and it might be the one that saves you from quitting. You don't defeat fear by arguing with it. You defeat it by outworking its timetable. Action compresses the space where fear tries to multiply. Churchill knew that. His staff knew it too. The red stamp was an alarm bell. Move now, or the darkness gets an hour you cannot afford to give. He paired that speed with ruthless clarity. Think of the line that shook the post-war world. From Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent. March 5, 1946. Fulton, Missouri. The war was over, but he refused to let comfort blur the edges of truth. It wasn't popular to say, it wasn't easy to hear. But leadership is not a popularity contest with history. It's a responsibility to describe reality as it is, in time to do something about it. In your life, that might mean naming the habit that is slowly choking your potential. It might mean facing a relationship that has become a negotiation with your own values. The Iron Curtain is not just a geopolitical metaphor. It's that quiet line in your daily story that, if unchallenged, will harden into a wall. But imagine if you combine those three: the Harrow resolve, the action this day urgency, and the Iron Curtain clarity. You would have the backbone to stand, the speed to move, and the eyes to see. Most people only have one. They can see, but won't move. They move, but they won't stand. Or they stand, but their eyes are closed. Churchill's life was a messy, human attempt to have all three at once, and that's why he could carry a nation through the long night. Now let's step into 1940 when the words became fire. May 13th. The House of Commons. I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. He strips away the illusion of an easy path. He offers pain, and in offering it, he offers truth. This is leadership at its most intimate. He doesn't promise what he cannot deliver. He tells the country, this is going to hurt, and you are strong enough to endure it. We live in a time that sells the opposite. Quick results, no discomfort. But the human engine hasn't changed. You will not grow into your life by bargaining with strain. You will grow by consenting to necessary effort and refusing unnecessary suffering. How do you separate the two? Honor and good sense. That's the compass from Harrow again. Let me bring you into a smaller room, the note on a desk, the pencil mark no one was supposed to remember. He often scrawled 3 letters to himself and his team, KBO. Keep buggering on. It's not refined, it's not eloquent, but it's reality tested. KBO is the rhythm of progress when nothing is spectacular, when the work is dull, when the applause is gone. The glory of "we shall fight on the beaches" is famous, but the courage of KBO is what gets you to the beach in the first place. In your job, in your study, in your recovery, KBO means setting a minimum daily forward motion and refusing to break it. 10 minutes on the hard task, every day. 1 honest conversation, every day. 1 hard truth named, every day. Keep buggering on is not romantic. It is effective. But you might ask, what if the plan is wrong? He would answer, adjust, don't abandon. In war, the map is not the territory. In life, your first plan is not the final one. Churchill's finest hours were full of mid-course corrections. He argued, he listened. He changed his mind when the facts changed. Notice the Harrow line again. Never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. That exception is not weakness. It's wisdom. Stubbornness is a child of fear. Resolve is the parent of change. There's a scene I want you to hold. Dim light, midnight air heavy with smoke. He is walking through the East End after a raid. People at their doorways, dust on their sleeves, faces gray with fatigue, and he lifts his hat. He doesn't give them platitudes. He offers them presence. The lesson underneath is deep. When hope is thin, posture matters as much as promises. You don't have to fix everything for your team or your family tonight. You have to show up like someone who believes the morning will come. Presence is a promise you make with your body before your words arrive. But what if your fear isn't the future? What if it's the past, sitting on your back like a weight? That's where we go back to 1915 again. He lost office. He took the blame others were happy to share. He bought paint and canvas. He started to put color back into a world that had gone gray. That wasn't a hobby. That was survival. He learned the discipline of switching lanes without abandoning the road. When your main arena closes, your identity doesn't need to die with it. You can rest a battle-scarred part of yourself by training another. He later wrote that painting came to his aid, that it taught him to look at light and shadows differently. That's not just art. That's mental training. The palette saves the general. The notebook saves the entrepreneur. The walk saves the parent. You will not always find power where you lost it. Sometimes you must build it somewhere else first. What he meant then still matters now. Diversify your sources of strength. The War Cabinet had many portfolios, so should your life. If your confidence only comes from one outcome, you're one lost day away from collapse. But if you build skills and relationships across multiple fronts, a failure is a wound, not a fatal blow. Churchill survived because he created airflow in his soul. He made room for recovery. There's another layer, and it might be the hardest. He was a master of adversarial friendship. He praised enemies when they did right. He criticized allies when they got it wrong. That is not just political craft. That is moral spine. In your circle, can you speak truth across lines without losing your center? Can you be fair enough to honor an adversary's better angel while refusing to excuse their worst? Leadership in any era requires this: clarity without contempt, backbone without bitterness. It's slower than outrage and less satisfying in the moment, but it builds a future that can hold weight. And then there's the voice, the cadence, the imagery. He wrote speeches with the musical ear of a novelist and the precision of a lawyer. Why does that matter for you? Because words are not decorations. Words are levers. The way you talk to yourself determines the way you stand. If you feed your mind cotton, your spine will soften. If you feed it steel, clear, disciplined phrases, you will feel your posture change. Try it. Give your day a motto, not a vague intention. A short, hard sentence. Action this day, or KBO, or never give in. Repeat it until your body believes you. This is not magical thinking. It is mental conditioning. Churchill built his phrases like sandbags against a flood. Now, imagine you're leading a small team through a rough quarter. Morale is thin. Numbers are heavy. What do you do tomorrow morning? You begin with an honest frame. I have nothing to offer but hard work, relentless focus, and the truth. Then you name the iron curtain in your situation, the reality you have refused to say out loud. You stamp action. This day on the one initiative that must move before noon. And you end with a Harrow hinge. We will not give in, except to honor and good sense. That last part gives your people permission to adapt without losing courage. You've given them a backbone and a brain. But let's bring it closer. There's something in your life that scares you. Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's a change. Maybe it's a decision you've delayed until it turned into dread. You don't need a 5-year plan tonight. You need one hard step taken before the day ends. That is how fear loses its breath. And tomorrow, when the mood is gone, KBO. 2 inches. Forward. Not heroic. Just faithful. Then, when your plan meets a wall, remember the exception, honor and good sense. Adjust. Ask one better question. Try one narrower cut. Delay the theatrics. Advance the line. Half the world knows the sound of "we shall fight on the beaches," but fewer know what it feels like to carry that tone into a living room where bills stack or into a mind that won't quiet at 3 a.m. The secret is not to pretend you're fearless. The secret is to decide beforehand who you are when fear speaks. Churchill decided. He wrote it into memos. He drilled it into boys at a school. He painted it into canvases. He turned it into habit. And when the night came, his habits did the talking. Before we go on, tell me in the comments, which line from Churchill do you want to carry into this week? If this kind of hard-won wisdom helps, tap like and subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson. Let's return to clarity, because it might be the most undervalued leadership skill in your world. In Fulton, he got pushback. People wanted a nap after the war. He forced them to stay awake. In your life, comfort is always selling you a nap when you need a map. Clarity hurts, but it prevents pain from becoming catastrophe. Where do you need to draw a line and say, "An iron curtain has descended here, and I will not pretend otherwise"? Name it, write it, speak it to someone who will hold you to it. Then, and this is key, pair that line with a specific movement of hope. The point of clarity is not despair. It is concentration. When you name the enemy, you free your strength to strike where it matters. Now layer in resolve with compassion. One of Churchill's private strengths was humor. The wry, cutting kind that diffuses panic and resets a room. When the stakes rise, humans get brittle. You need a pressure release valve. Not to minimize the problem, but to keep the team breathing. When he lit a cigar and made a dry remark, he wasn't avoiding the issue. He was reminding everyone they still had agency. In your life, laughter can be a form of courage when it's used to remember the difference between what's urgent and what's ultimate. You are not what is happening to you. You are what you decide to do next. Let's talk about time, because Churchill's calendar holds another lesson. He worked in bursts, then walked, then read, then worked again. He protected thinking time like a nation protects its coasts. He understood that action without thought is waste, and thought without action is rot. Your day needs both. 45 minutes of focused push, 10 minutes of stillness. One page that strengthens your mind. Then back in. This is how you keep the lights on inside when the world outside is dark. And courage, he wrote about it without romance. Courage is rightly esteemed the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees all others. Notice the logic. Courage doesn't replace the other virtues, it unlocks them. Your kindness will fail without courage. Your honesty will fold without courage. Your creativity will hide without courage. So train courage like a muscle. Start light. Speak one hard sentence today. Refuse one unnecessary apology. Say yes to one good strain. Courage compounds. It is not born full-grown. It is earned by small daily payments. But imagine if you didn't have to feel brave to act brave. That is the news Churchill offers. He did not always feel like a lion. His diaries, his letters, they all show a man who knew fear and loneliness. The trick was not to wait for a heroic mood. The trick was to install habits that behave heroically on your behalf. That's what Action This Day and KBO and those iron words do. They move your feet while your heart catches up. They carry you through the fog until clarity returns. They are not magic. They are machinery. What do you do when despair flickers on anyway? He had a way of zooming out. He called it the sweep of history, the ability to stand in one hard hour and see the line of time running before and after it. You can do this too. Your crisis is real, but it is not the whole story. Step back. Place your moment on a larger map. Ask, if I endure this well, who do I become 3 years from now? And if I quit, what future do I abandon that I might have reached? The big map shrinks the panic of the small moment. I want you to hold one more scene as we close. It's June 1940, France is falling, Britain is alone. He stands in the Commons and says, "Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duties, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour." He frames duty as an honor. He invites pain to become legend. You can do this on a small scale. Your task tomorrow, done well, done bravely, can become a story you tell your future self with pride. The finest hour is not one grand event. It is 100 ordinary hours, endured and shaped with care. So, if you were across the table from him tonight, what would he say to you? He'd light a cigar, let the silence gather, and then he'd speak plain. Your fear is not a prophecy. Your failure is not a verdict. Stamp your day with action. Set your spine with clear words. Keep buggering on. Never give in except to honor and good sense. And remember, your courage guarantees your other strengths. The world may not be at war outside your door, but inside, the stakes are no less real. Your mind, your craft, your people, they are waiting for you to stand. The ash may be different now, the sirens changed, the maps digital, and the threats more subtle. But the principles are still made of iron. Build them into your hours. Pair speed with thought. Pair resolve with kindness. Pair clarity with hope. And when the hour comes, and it will, you won't have to search for courage. You will already be carrying it. Tonight, write one sentence you will live by in the morning. Make it short. Make it steel. Then, when doubt knocks, read it out loud and move your feet. This is how ordinary people do extraordinary things. This is how days become victories. This is how your finest hour begins. Quietly, firmly now.